All right, let's talk about suppressors. First and foremost, I am a huge fan of suppressors. And I actually think that they make firearms, specifically rifles, more accessible to people who might be hesitant or trepidatious to have a controlled explosion go off in their hands. Probably one of the most common marksmanship errors that you see is anticipation, a closing of the eyes and a smashing of the trigger in anticipation of the explosion that's going to come out on the other end of the rifle. The larger the caliber, the more that anticipation can exacerbate itself. Suppressors are an amazing tool. If you cut them in half, they're essentially baffles that absorb the gases that are exploded, and it reduces recoil. It will actually increase your muzzle velocity, and it drastically decreases the decibel. What I will say is this: if you have sighted your rifle in without a suppressor, you need to go back to the range and sight it in again with the suppressor on. Suppressors will generally increase your muzzle velocity, which is going to change the trajectory of your round. And it actually can adjust your dope as well. If you have a very long barrel and a heavier suppressor on the end, it can and often will lower your point of impact because the suppressor is actually pulling a little bit on the barrel itself. Go back to the range, reconfirm all of your dope and distances if you are going to put a suppressor on. What suppressor to choose? I'll give you two options. First is the wild, wild west known as the internet. You can go onto the internet and you can look at forums and you can try to decide between the hundreds of options what suppressor is going to be the best for your weapons platform. Or the second option, what I would recommend, is actually going into a gun store or finding somebody who is actually an expert on rifles specifically and applying suppressors to them. You need to make sure you have a suppressor that is capable of shooting or handling the caliber that you are shooting in your platform. There are suppressors that can handle multiple calibers, but what you'll find, just like just about anything in life, the more broad something becomes, the more of a multi-tool something becomes, the less it's actually really good at doing any one thing. So there'll be a caliber on a multi-caliber suppressor that's the sweet spot, and everything else will not perform as well. For a 300 Win Mag, I personally am looking for a 300 Win Mag suppressor. Not all suppressors will fit all weapons, so they have adapters that's thread on in their place, and then the suppressor will thread on to the adapter. Find an expert to make sure that you are using the right adapter and the right suppressor for your firearm. You will see suppressors that vary in length. The more length, the more baffles that the suppressor will have. And suppressors are often rated in their ability to decrease decibels. So when you're looking at these things, there's a variety of options. Determine how much decibel you want to have removed, and then you're going to have to look at how much money you have available. Suppressors aren't cheap, but they do an amazing job, and it might actually save your hunt, because if you miss a shot and the sound of that miss doesn't scare the animals away, you may have the opportunity for a follow-up shot. And the last piece I'll give you when it comes for food for thought with suppressors: the determination to buy a suppressor and install it on your hunting rifle needs to occur many, many, many months before you actually intend to use it, because suppressors require an ATF tax stamp. You can expect 6 to 8 months from the date of purchase to you actually being able to have possession of that suppressor. So if your hunting season is in September, you don't want to be ordering this in July. I would plan at least one hunting season gap between when you order the weapon and suppressor to you actually putting them together and using them together.